All right, let's get this started. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Anthony Lopez, and I am Vice President of Sales at Media Services. While we are first and foremost a payroll service provider for the entertainment industry, we are dedicated to production technology on behalf of our clients. Our showbiz software products are well known in the industry. I started myself here at Media Services running the New York Showbiz store, and Final Draft was always hands down our best seller. But we find our payroll clients are often looking for the next great tool to manage production with shot lists and schedules. So we're really excited to have our sister company, Final Draft, here to show you how it can be done from inside their amazing script writing software. If you have any questions as we go along, you can enter them in the chat, and we'll get to as many as we can. And with that, I'm happy to introduce Andrew Rogers of Final Draft.
Thank you, Anthony. And thank you, Andy, and everyone at Media Services. And hi, folks. Welcome today. Welcome to everyone attending for this event. My name is Andrew, as Anthony mentioned, and I'm the Sales Enterprise Associate at Final Draft. I work with studios from all over the globe. My colleague today, Joe Wielesinski, is here to assist. I'd like to thank Media Services for the opportunity again. This is such a wonderful opportunity to present the program. As we go through the program, I'm going to cover how Final Draft can be utilized for producers' needs, such as breaking down a script for budgeting and scheduling, and also by using reports and functions already inside Final Draft, can you manipulate your material so that you can actually turn it into a production book, so to speak. So with that, I'm going to begin sharing my screen. And I believe you all should be able to see it now. Also, our Director of Sales is not going to be in attendance today due to an urgent family matter. However, I'll be covering his portion of the presentation. And as Anthony mentioned during the webinar today, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. This session will be in two parts. The first part will cover the tools in an overview, and then the second portion will cover the application of those tools. We'll take a brief midpoint break for a question or two halfway, and at the end of the session, we'll go over some questions and, as Anthony mentioned, get to as many as we can. So to begin, I'm going to show the sample shooting script I have here. It's called Tangle and Moss. This is inside the Final Draft program. I'll be sharing my Mac screen, and I'll let you know if there's any differences in PC. So briefly, the new layout of Final Draft has some new features up here. You can see I'm going to go over the views. You can split your screen, as you may or may not know already. You can have your beat board on the left side. You can also include your index cards. There's many ways to manipulate this, so you can have it for vertical or horizontal. For my preference, I like to have it vertical. One of the features I want to cover right now is the beat board. So the beat board's been updated with new features. Not only is a beat board capable of acting as a digital whiteboard, but it can hold script content, notes, images for storyboards, act as a scratch pad for quick budgets. You're free to organize this in any way that you like. There's now connector lines also on the beat board, so you can create a story flow. So in terms of timeline, you can create a production budget flow. You can create a checklist of events, or perhaps maybe a story flow that you'd like to see occur. The beat board also works in conjunction with the outline editor up here, and you'll see the outline editor is these two lanes. In essence, this is a story tool, but what you can do as a producer is this could be particularly helpful to add notes to your script. Say you have some budgetary needs that you want to see, or maybe some story element that you have to make a note on. What you can do, I'm going to show this to you briefly, and we'll dive into this a bit more detailed later. So you can highlight this information here, and wherever your cursor is on the script, you can send this to your script. So in essence, you can have that material inside your script, and if you hide the outline, it'll preserve your page count. So you can have notes inside your script and have it collapsible. If you print it like this, the notes will show. If you hide it and print it, the notes won't show. So that's just a brief overview to show that you can create notes inside of your script content and keep you inside Final Draft. The beatboard also works in collaboration mode as well. And as I mentioned, it's printable and scalable. So if you're working on some sort of budgetary needs or something with a colleague around the world, and you want to go over the beatboard, you can work collaboratively together. Say you're using this for more of a purpose to add a budget together or something that requires extra material that you can bring back and forth between the script, it's all here. The labeling of the beatboard can be done by color. You can choose how you like the connector lines to be moved. They link together as well. So if you color code them, those remain. You can also unlink them too. So if you decide later you're going to make a change, you can also drag them to each other so they'll link together. And I will go in a bit more detail about this in later. I just wanted to give a quick overview of the general sense of the new feature here. And you can also sort them as well. So if you're looking to sort something chronologically, you can sort them, you can cascade them, turn it into a row. So you have many options available to you to sort the information and the content. And again, this is scalable. So as I'm zooming out, you can see how large it can be. This could be as large as a poster on a wall, or it could be something as simple as a booklet. So now I've covered the beatboard in a quick overview. I wanted to cover another portion of Final Draft called tags mode. So tags mode is a feature that allows you to identify any word in your script and assign it to a category. So this tool is particularly helpful if you need to identify actors, props, wardrobe, special effects, practical effects, and so forth. So I'm going to turn on tags mode in this sample script. And you'll see that in the script here, it's already pre-populated. The writer decided to go ahead and make those additions. And so, for instance, let's take a look here and see. So character tags. Character tags can be applied to every character in every instance, or they can be applied to props on an individual level. So for instance, this curved mustache, right? I highlight this, and you can tag this as makeup and hair. Not only can this be tagged for this particular character, but linking tags can be done as well. So if you have a character in one scene, say has a mustache, but he loses it, and then in the next scene it's gone, you can have makeup and hair know that that character doesn't have that mustache any longer. There are ways to tag items as well. So if you have tags of a particular type, you'll see here in the navigator, which is available on the top right here. Standard categories here are included. These standard categories are based upon scheduling and budgeting softwares. You can create any category you like though. So if you have a special need, say you have a sound effect and you want the Foley department to really know without having to read the script, you can simply color it something dramatic. And so then that way, if you tag it in the script, let's say slams, you can choose that from the categories here. And then it'll get tagged in that scene. And you can also assign it to maybe what the item might have been. And when you run a report later, which we'll dive into in the second portion, this will all be tagged. You'll understand what happened in that scene and when. So this will allow you and other departments to understand, based upon the standard categories, as well as custom tags, you can generate reports for your A unit, B units. You can have something for your props department only. You can have something for your wardrobe department only. And in essence, this will allow you to cater to those departments and bring all that information to them without having them to read the entire script or peruse it. So based upon these tags, I want to briefly mention reports. So the Tools tab up here houses all the reports. The Reports tab here, I'm going to briefly cover each one. The Scene Report allows you to capture an overview of what characters are in what scene. And you'll notice down at the bottom, we have a Tags report. So if you do a Scene Report, you can include tags. So in this instance, I'm going to run the report based upon the tags and the scene order and the script order. And you'll see here that based upon the scene, who's in it, it gives you a brief synopsis, characters, makeup and hair. And this is all based upon the tags that the writer has put or the producer has put into the script. Not only that, but it gives you the ace of the page. So it'll really allow you an overview of what's going on and when and who needs to know what. So this is the scene report. Location report allows you to choose between different instances of sorting. So for now, I'm just going to use alphabetical. This will allow you something similar in that it'll give you locations based upon alphabetical order of the scene heading, of the first letter of the scene heading. Character reports allow you to choose individuals and look at them from an overview. You can include arc, beats, dialogue. So in essence, this can give you sides. This can also just give the actor a sense of what they need to learn, or maybe perhaps you want to understand what their characters are total in terms of speaking, or maybe perhaps you want to look at a certain scene and it requires a different tweak in dialogue, or maybe perhaps it needs to be shorter. It's also cast report too. It's a bit shorter of a document, but it sums up what all characters speak and even non-speaking scenes as well. Your script report, you can choose the elements that you want to see. So if you want to see everything but the outlines, you can do that. Final Draft has this tool available to you, so you can choose what you'd like to see and when. There's a wide variety of ways to use these as well. There's script note reports, which can run based upon the script notes that you put in the script. And then there's also statistics reports. And as I mentioned, that tags report. You can do tags by scene or tags by tag. So I'm gonna do tags by scene. And it could take a while depending on how many tags you have in the program. But as you'll notice, there we go. This is the report. And so it gives you the tags by scene, which is helpful in that this is just a bit more detailed of what the different departments need to see. These tags, as I mentioned, are flexible and they're linkable. So depending on what you're looking to choose for that particular day of shooting, or perhaps if you run these reports and realize that maybe you have one too many characters that need to be combined, or maybe perhaps you want to go in a different direction in terms of where you want to have this scene take place. There's also an inclusivity report as well for characters, and we'll briefly cover this, but in the second portion, I will mention how this can be included on a budgetary and scheduling breakdown. So a writer can choose, as well as a producer, to look at if they assign these categories. You can look at an inclusivity analysis, which can give you the overview of characters as well as what the overview of the script looks like. You can choose and assign these categories. For instance, you can choose ethnicity, and you can cross that with, say, occupation. It does become a bit detailed depending on how many categories you have, but this can be exported as a document. And this visual media can also allow you to present this to someone to understand, say, if a studio is looking for a certain demographic, or maybe perhaps you're looking for a different story arc that leans towards a specific person, or maybe perhaps a trait. So there's different ways to use this information to understand and to delineate to someone who hasn't read the script what is contained in the script and perhaps what maybe needs to be shown further. So this is a lot of information pretty quickly, but I did want to give a quick overview of some of the tools that we'll be using in the second portion. And these tools are available to you up here. And there's a variety of ways, as I mentioned, to combine them, which I will show you in the second half. And at this point, Anthony, I wanted to ask if there's any questions based upon the material I sort of have briefly covered before we dive into the second half. If there's anyone out there who has a question about what I've covered, if they would like to see, perhaps.
I don't see any questions popping up.
Okay,
Okay,
well, sounds good.
No.
Not a problem. Well then, so I'm going to dive into the second portion. This is briefly covering, now you understand, so you've seen the reports, and you've seen the function and understanding of what tags in essence can do, and what's available to you as a producer. So now we're going to take a look at creating the production schedule and how you can use this information in Final Draft that I've shown you to break it down in your own way. And I'm going to be doing this today in a particular method, but this is a template, for instance, for you to use so that you can apply this to your own productions and your own environments, just depending on the different factors. So this is a similar file. This is actually the same file I've just been working from. This is our sample script that comes in the program. You'll notice the tags mode are still on. I'm going to turn that off. So what this writer has done is, in essence, take the script from scene 15 and broke it down by category. They basically took the slug line, added it here, and then put beatboard boxes below it. In essence, this is creating a skeleton of a storyboard. So the beatboard, as I mentioned, can be scalable. It can hide and collapse material, but also can be as large or as small as you'd like it. So this writer decided to begin with this scene. And a good idea or a good way to begin this is to have the director or producer team answer questions to create a shot list. For instance, today I'm going to be using a template called the Director's Six Senses. This is provided to us from Simone Bartasaghi, who teaches directing at Santa Monica College. And this is his method of answering questions based upon the script and directing and understanding what they would like to see. So for instance, these questions are down here. And I'm going to copy the whole material. And again, you can use any template, but this one is just particular for our purposes today. And so in here, what I would do is I would just create a new script note. And in the script note, I would attach that material in here. And it would allow the director or the producing team to understand what the motivations are in that scene, perhaps answer some questions of what the vision might look like. And so this template has the creative breakdown that a director would really use to analyze every scene by scene. Again, this is an exercise, so I'm just showing you this as an example. But I've copied the template into here, and based on the answers, say for scene 15, he has broken it down. And you can also, as I mentioned, you can split your screen. This way you can manipulate the material how you prefer to see it on screen. So this is the beginnings of the storyboard, and the connector lines, as you've noticed, are showing the beginnings of perhaps maybe the editing between the scenes. Maybe perhaps these shots intermix. Perhaps these all connect back to one another, or perhaps you want to show the order in which these connect. So you can actually connect with an arrow, right, to show linear form, or you don't have to do that. It's really up to you how you'd like to, and these move and they lock with the material. So right now, this storyboard has been sketched out with the name of the file that potentially might go there, the material that is in the scene, and potentially it could hold artist work or pictures as well. So I'm going to show you in here. So this is the expanded view of the same file we were looking at. In essence, you can see that the storyboard artist has brought in some of his work, maybe pictures or still images that bring that scene to life and allow a view that can only be seen cleanly, but also can be seen in a way that presents the material visually. So you can do this by creating beatboard boxes. Beatboard boxes you can create one from an image, or you can create one plain. So from an image, you hit new beat from image, you choose a shot, and then the image will go inside the beat and it'll label it with that file name. So a storyboard artist or art director can label that by the type of shot, the scene, and maybe perhaps the shot number. And once you've organized all your shots, you can see we've created this skeleton of a storyboard, which initially was a shot description, has now turned into a very visually pleasing storyboard. And again, these connector lines can be added so that you can take all these and just drag them to the scene so you can visually understand that it's linked to that portion. I'm using the connector lines today so you can see that they're in shot one directional order, but again, if they edit between scenes, you can indicate that by different color connectors. You can choose orange, red, and any spectrum of the rainbow color you can choose for these identifiers. So once you've put this material together and you have a document that looks presentable to you and it looks like this is ready to go, you can create a PDF. You can export this. I'll show you this. So this document here is a PDF that we've created based on that same folder. And this will show you, in essence, like I said, this could be as large as a wall. You can have this in your writer's room. You can have this in the production office. This is something that you can have collaboration over. So if you're working with the producing team and they decide to change the artwork, but they're working remotely, they can easily swap it out. If there's ways in which you want to communicate with each other, you can also chat over collaboration mode. So from taking a script from the elements inside here, as well as the shot categories, as well as understanding, you can also add artwork, sketch pads. You can house a lot of information in the beatboard. There's really no limit to how you can organize this. Again, it's scalable. So at this point, I'm going to dive back into reports. Earlier, I showed you that the reports can run by scene order. And for instance, let's say that same script, I'm going to run it now by production order. So I've just opened one that I've saved, but this is the same script based upon production order. So what this report is doing is it's grouping alphabetical by the first letter of the scene heading, but you'll also notice that the scenes are not in chronological order and that they're also grouped by day-night. They're grouped together by total length, and they're also grouped by the same interior-exterior. This is to be helpful in case you need to understand how far away, say, a soundstage might be from the physical location you're shooting. Or let's say you're shooting in a house with both day and night, interior and exterior, or maybe you're doing a day for night. This can help you determine the total order and length, and perhaps maybe you can eliminate one of those scenes. So this information will allow you to begin the path towards scheduling out your film. Because in essence, grouping these locations together, not only is it important for understanding how often you have to go back to that location or how long you're going to be there, it'll get most of the work done for you. You're about 80% of the way here in terms of breaking this down. So this document is editable. It's a text document, so you can add pictures and information in here. Let's say I'm going to add some information in here parsing from the script. So if I do that, you'll see here I've taken scene headings and I've expanded it to what I would believe, for instance, this script was 28 pages total. So in a hypothetical world, we gave ourselves a 6-day shooting schedule. And if this was an indie film, that might be close to that. And so if in the blue text, I say this is 6 days, this will be day 1. And I've indicated that red will be the total end of the day. And Final Draft doesn't add up the eighths, but whip out your calculator and it'll be ready for you right here. So this is helpful in that you can understand where you might want to drop day breaks, given your budgetary goals, but also using this information can help you work backwards from how many days you may need to shoot and how many pages per day you might need to cover. This could also be helpful for the scripty, or perhaps this could be helpful for understanding when your second meal needs to come, or perhaps this is a way to keep a close track on how the production's going overall. And again, for the eighths of a page, we all know that the eighth is really the smallest nomenclature you can have for a line of dialogue or an action in a script. So this takes care of having to have the ruler come out and measure, but this does the work for you. So, and also there's ways to tell, like, say, for instance, in this scene, Mossy speaks 5 times and Tangled speaks 6. So a lot of information is available to you through this scheduling report done by production order. So if I combine this information with our shot list, you can see I've expanded that document. So now we've combined the storyboard elements from our production order schedule. So we'll look at scene 15, for instance, here. Since my storyboard panel has the shot description, and since they're in that order, we can begin again and look and see for here. This is in the order of how the scene wants to be shot. So I have 3, 1, 2. And again, images can be added in here. It is a text document. So if you want to insert an image, you just simply find that, select it, you can scale it, and you can add notes inside. So say, so these reports, when they're generated as a text document, allow you to break this material down so you can really manipulate this and create an order. And as a producer, since we have all this information available to us and we have the storyboards, we have the luxury of adding these images from our art department, but also everything is laid out in shooting order if you like. So when you walk on the set, or if you walk on production, you hand this binder, if you have one, ready for the DP or say the lighting department. They're going to love you because now everything is visually in the order of shooting. And you can also take a look and see without having to ask additional questions, or maybe that'll help clarify some of those questions without having them reapproach you. So for instance, in this scene, in scene 15, they mentioned that they're rolling down the hill here. And from that document, that's also been presented here as well. Let me scroll up. Right, so from the script medium, rolling down the hill, you can visually see that that's the order in which that the script is going, but we want to shoot it in this way. So let's say this will help the camera department understand that maybe this needs to be on a crane. Perhaps this needs to be on rails. Perhaps this is going to be in a barrel and you're going to throw this down. So it'll really allow people time to prepare and have those internal discussions without having to reapproach the producing team, hopefully with too many questions. So next, I'm showing alternatively, you could generate a schedule shooting order document by using the tags for scene for other departments. So perhaps, let's say you want to generate a document for the grips. They don't necessarily need to see what the scene looks like, but they need to understand what equipment needs to be brought. So you can simply take that same scheduling scene report based upon that order, and you can bring in the tags. In essence, I'm taking the material from that report, copying and pasting it in here, and I can add images if I need. But for a producer, why is this helpful? Let's say, for instance, you have a rental on certain days. It's expensive stuff, and you have to determine day by day how often and how long you may need it. This can also help determine your budget and scheduling about that in regards to understanding perhaps that scene's requirement for that day. Maybe you can eliminate some production material, or perhaps your team can come together and find a a tighter way to make that happen. So between what I've just shown you here and between the compilation of the document that has the shot list, you in essence have everything you'll need to create a production binder. All the information here in Final Draft is manipulative and also can be, as I said, transferred between the script file as well as the beatboard. So there's a variety of ways in which you can keep track. You can use the beatboard as a scratch pad. You can use it as a storyboard planner. You can have the basis of your production binder come to life here. You can use the tags feature to identify information in the script, whether it be a prop, actor, set dressing piece, Teamster requirement. There's a wide variety of ways in which you can use this material come together. And now that you've seen how these tools can come together, I want to show you a document that it would, in essence, lead towards marketing the production, or at least towards that similar of a direction. So for here, let's say this is a sample pitch book. And let's just say that my friend's a producer and we need to create a marketing document. We want to approach a studio, but we also want to include some backbone information in our production binder or in perhaps a pitch book. So in this instance, I decided to create categories here that are pretty standard. For instance, film comps, to look at other comps of a certain type. Release strategies, perhaps you want to compare other films of that type, maybe that are similar to that breakdown you're working with budgetary-wise. In ancillary markets, perhaps you want to look at places or locations that films have done historically well like that. And your budget top sheet. So you can include all this information and you can make these as large as small as you like. You can include as much information in here as you need. And this is, again, transferable to the script. So in essence, if you're looking to take the script, and this file here, you'll notice has the script as it was written, but all the material has been brought into the script. And it's collapsible as well. So wherever your insertion point is, you can highlight all this material here in the beatboard, and you can send it to the script by using the Send to Script button. And what that'll do is that it will transfer that information here. So in essence, it'll bring that material straight from the beatboard so that you don't have to do double the work. It'll allow you the chance to create material that you can flow back and forth between, or you can drag it in. And so in essence, this is collapsible, as I mentioned. So if you're making notes and you want this script to be presented in a just this text form, you can collapse it, present it that way. Or if you're going to the studio and you want to use this material as your pitch book, you can uncollapse it. And as the production person reads it, not only can they see the story flow, but they can understand visually maybe what's happening. They can understand maybe some notes that are pending, or perhaps using the budgetary top sheet, for instance, here. This is an image brought in. As I mentioned earlier, there in the reports is a statistics report, but also a tags report. The statistics report, you can bring this in. So if you need to understand from an angle of how much dialogue there is, perhaps who curses, perhaps who doesn't speak enough, perhaps who interacts the most with who. Additionally, there's also the inclusivity report too, which you can bring in. If you go to the characters tab under the navigator here, as I mentioned, you can turn this into an image by clicking this icon here. It'll export it. And you can bring that into the document here as the outline, and you can show and hide the outline so you can actually have statistics right in the script available to you and available to whoever needs to review it. And also on the beatboard, you'll notice here, I created the category inspirational images. And the storyboards are right below it. To create a new beat, I'm just going to create test, but that can be dragged to the beats and they can be connected. They can also be, as I mentioned, lassoed together. So you can show perhaps this leads to this. So you can select them, combine them together with an arrow. You can also choose the color. And as I mentioned earlier, this will follow wherever they're selected. So these tools, I hope, have given you insight to understanding that Final Draft not only can keep you and your material at your fingertips, but you can also use this material to create documents beyond Final Draft that will allow you to expand your production needs. So from taking your document, which would be your shot descriptions list, starting from this skeleton all the way to a completed pitch book, is how far Final Draft can take you in terms of production planning and scheduling. Visually, I always appreciate pictures. It's very helpful to understand how the story flow can go in terms of shot order, but also perhaps that's not the flow that the production requires. I wanted to reiterate that this production breakdown can also allow you to understand working backwards from what your production may require, right? So if, say, this is just one too many shots, you can either move those to another day, you can delete them, you can revert them. They're also, as I mentioned, interchangeable. So if, say, there's a portion of the script that you need to bring into the beat board, you can highlight it, drag it in, right? Or you can make that material come to life by moving it from the script to the, from the beat board to the script. I think I'll take a moment here to take a pause. I have covered quite a bit of material, and I'd like to see if there's anyone out there who has questions about this material in regards to either setting up the beat board in terms of how you'd like to break down your script in terms of production and budgetary needs, or perhaps you want to look at some more tools. Anthony, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. Yes. All right. One question that's come up multiple times is this session being recorded? It definitely is being recorded for everyone. And after it is done, you will receive an email with a link to the recording where you can download and then watch it over and over again. So just to answer that question for everyone, it is being recorded and you all will get a link.
That is a great question.
Yeah. All right. This came up often. When collaborating, does everyone need to have the newest version of Final Draft, or can it also be used with previous versions?
That is a great question. Everyone collaborating together must be on the same version. So if you're on 12, whoever you want to collaborate with also must be on 12. If you have 11, you need to collaborate with someone on 11.
All righty. Another big question, very popular, is will the material that you're using for this presentation be available? Specifically the Tangled script. There's been a lot of requests for the Tangled script.
Very good question. Yes, the sample scripts are available in the program. If you go to the help and you scroll down to sample scripts, I'm using the shooting script for today's presentation. You can choose the outline script or the script, but you'll notice for instance, I'll open the script in the center. Yes, that's available to you. It will open with the outline showing. You can also take a look at the beat board. The beat board has some pre-sketched material here for you to take a look at and to play around with. So yes, the material I'm using today is based upon the shooting script, as I mentioned, but we've expanded that. So the image files here on the sample script won't be there, but you certainly can bring in as much images as you like. You can even use that as a template to begin your own. We do have other templates as well on our website. There's other templates available inside of the program as well. So if you say new from template, you can choose. We have a variety of templates. You can have your favorites. You can download more from our website. We have educational templates. And so today I use the educational template, but we also have standard script templates, TV templates. And as I mentioned, there's a lot more TV templates on our website if you download the folder that has them. Very good question.
All right, so we got some more here. Yes, we've had multiple requests to say if Final Draft can generate a strip board, traditional strip board for scheduling.
That is a very good question. I don't believe it can in terms of what that term is. If a strip board, you mean printing out a storyboard in a paper form or in a linear order, that can be done. You can use the Beatboard to export or print. So if you want to export this document, you can export the Beatboard, and the Beatboard can be saved and manipulated in that way, so you can have this sent on to someone. I hope that answers your question. The Beatboard, again, is scalable, so it can be as large or as small as you like. Right now, I'm zooming in on this, but the Beatboard is capable of holding as much material as you need. Image size is important, so you don't want to grab an image that's very, very large or has a very high resolution. You want to use something that's within a standard range, right? You don't want to be using the most high resolution photo. It could potentially hang your opening time for the folder, but potentially these images in here, you can have as many as you like. And they're also scalable as well. So if you need to make some images smaller, or you need to hide them or collapse them, there's certain ways to do that. The outline editor up here, you'll notice where it says drags beats to story. So as I mentioned, the Beatboard can be used so that you can import this information to your script as you see here, but you can also drag these beats so that you can have them up inside the outline editor lanes. So if you want to send this file to someone and they hover over it or they click on it, that picture will come up, right? So you don't even have to visit the Beatboard or you don't have to have someone create that. You can actually just do that. You can drag these beats up to here. You can turn them into linear order. And again, Final Draft has many ways to do this. So I hope this answers your question. Forgive me for not putting this in super direct order, but what you can see is I can expand this and I can link these together. So let's say someone opens the file and they want to go, okay, I just want to quickly, let's hide the Beatboard. I just want to quickly look at this, the story flow. I don't want to open the Beatboard. I don't want to, I don't want any of that. All you have to do is you just hover over and click on it. You can see the picture, description, shot name, and then as you're reading, you can also do that as well, so that it'll stay on top. So there's a variety of ways you can have your story come to life without having to switch back and forth between the Beatboard. I hope that provides that solution for you.
All right, and for the strip board question, a lot of our attendees actually, highly recommend Gorilla scheduling and Movie Magic scheduling for strip board purposes, just to throw that out there for everyone. All right, there's been a couple of questions with regards to the Beatboard and adding video files.
Video files are not supported. However, you can include a link to a video file, but no, there are no video files supported. Image files only, and image files again we recommend files that are of a size that isn't you don't want an artist's high resolution rendering. That's just common practice, but no video files, unfortunately.
Gotcha. All right, we had a couple of questions here with regards to grouping day and night shoots for the shooting schedule.
Yes. So I'm going to run a report based upon location, and you can have it in a variety of different sorting ways. So you can do time of day, right? So it organizes this in terms of how you've labeled your scene headings, and that's where that information comes from. And also tells you the occurrences of how many times in that position. So for instance, you'll see this day continuous has these locations, and you can copy this information because this is a text document. So I can take this out of here and I can put it in my production binder. Earlier, I also showed you that you can run the reports based upon different queries, so you can do most occurrences. So you can understand how many occurrences happen the most often. But also production order too. So this is the document I had showed you earlier. This document here sorts the scene headings by the first letter of the word in the scene heading, but then also groups it by day-night. So you'll see here, you have dawn, day, moments later, and this groups it by the eighths of a page as well. So it does some of the math for you. And all this information is copyable and exportable. So there's really no limit to how you want to pull this information, how you'd like to bring in all this information from the script. Again, as just a quick reminder that we've simply brought this information from the script to the beatboard, turned it into a flow. From there, we've fleshed it out, turned it into a very visually pleasing flow. You can even break these scenes down. Say if you wanted to turn this into, instead of using it by the scene heading, you could turn this into, say, night shots. And you can group all these as your night shots if you're doing an indie budget or something small. Let's say you want to have a shooting at a house location, but you only have it for a day. You can include all your house locations here, perhaps with an image of the house, or perhaps the characters that show up in here. And again, the material from the script can be brought in. So if you have a line of dialogue that person speaks in that scene, you can copy that and you can put it into your script, your beatboard, as I just did. And you can move it around, color it. And these, again, if you lasso them or you select them, they can be brought into the outline editor lane up here. And then you can choose to see them by selecting it. You can even do multiple. So if you wanted to have a sequence, you can have, earlier I showed you, there was just a couple in the same order, but you can have a sequence, which is really helpful. So if you have an action scene or something that requires multiple angles, someone who's reading this can understand, oh, okay, this is great. I understand how the page goal looks. I understand how long this might be of a shoot today. So people can not only anticipate, but they can plan out their day. That was a very good question.
All right. We got a lot of questions with regards to importing tags via .sex file. I don't know what that is, but perhaps you do, Andrew.
Certainly. So our tags category here, these tags, the custom ones, as I mentioned, you can create any tags you like, but these categories here are standard. So if you import the tags report to a scheduling or budgeting software, these will link. These are standard names, so there's no need to change. So if you run a tags report, you can also, again, as I mentioned, tag all characters. That was something I briefly mentioned earlier. But if you run a tags report through the tags category, you can import that to your favorite program. And for instance, I'm going to do tag by scene headings in this instance. So you'll see the document that's been generated here. is very detailed. And if this was to your preference, wonderful, it works for you. You have your shot, you have this, you have maybe perhaps what kind of scene it is, but you can also run that report by scene. So to answer your question, yes, the standard categories import. With some manipulation and mileage may vary, you could use the customized categories as well. But the standard categories absolutely carry over. So if you're looking to break down and import these tags, your favorite software will have no problem.
Great. We got another question here a couple of times actually, asking if the Mac version of Final Draft is the same as the PC version. Good question.
Very good question. So they're different in terms of their layout. The Mac version here, you'll see, has the drop-down menus. The PC version will have a ribbon here. The ribbon is similar to what you're seeing here, except it'll have all these edit here, view here, insert here, and so forth. You can change your view as well. So if you wanted to customize your toolbar on Mac, this is the standard view here. But if you wanted to add, say, your favorite tool, such as a spell check, maybe you have a bookmark you want to add, or alternate dialogues, or perhaps you want to use dual dialogue, or perhaps you want to be able to show invisibles quite often. Here you go, you just do that, hit done, and it saves it, such as this. If you want to revert back and you go, oh, this is too cluttered, you can click and drag on a Mac this back to the top, and it'll revert it back to its standard state. On Windows, all those elements are available to you here, so there's no need to change around your ribbon. You can do classic or the new viewing mode on Windows, but I prefer classic. And the navigator now also is pinnable. So I didn't mention this earlier, but while you're working in your script, let's say you want to make some scene notes, you can pin this and, you can pin this to the front so you can continue to work in real time. Right, so you don't have to hide or move the windows around. If you have a dual screen, this could also be very helpful. Yeah, the differences between the softwares are visual. There's no functional differences between Mac or Windows. So you have collaboration mode. You're able to do the same exact material we saw today. You're able to import images. You're able to collaborate with one another on both the beatboard, the script. You can export documents. All the functionalities and the reports are the same.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.
Well, very good. You know, I wanted to say if there's any other questions, I'm happy to, in the last few minutes here, address them. We have, for you folks out there, if you ever have any technical questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me at any time. We also have a lot of material and resources on our website, as well as our knowledge database. You can find that at finaldraft.com, but you can also research our YouTube page. We have a wide variety of videos that describe tools and reports and breaking down your script. The material you saw today, again, the scripts are available to you to use. They're in the sample scripts under help. So if you want to start playing around and maybe breaking down your own script and maybe start using the outline editor lanes to get your story flow going, maybe you want to inspire your crew, I hope I've given you some inspiration and insight to not only within the program so that you have the script right in front of you, but also breaking down your schedule and beginning your budget. And with a story flow such as this, being able to bring in images, being able to capitalize on the idea that this story flow can keep a production binder on hand and you can always update it. It'll be easy to export those documents and to change them around. And so with these helpful features and tools, I really wish you all the best of luck in your productions. And I want to thank Media Services today again for organizing this. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Anthony. This has been a really great opportunity. And my email, if anyone would like to reach out, is Andrew R as in Robert at finaldraft.com. You know, again, if you always have any production needs or questions, I'm happy to help. I handle the studio side of things in the enterprise world at Final Draft. So never a question that I wouldn't take from you. So happy to help.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. I was going to ask you for your email address. I'm glad you were able to share it with everyone. Again, thank you everyone for attending. This is our first webinar with Final Draft. Hopefully there'll be many more to follow. I know there was a problem with some people getting into the session. We did max, but everyone that did register will get a recording of this. Our apologies for the inconvenience, and we hope to see you on the next one. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care, everyone.